yesterday while I was studying, I made this post-it note full of ideas for this video and things that help me study, especially when I don't want to, and in different scenarios where studying is probably the last thing that I want to do. So hopefully this helps someone. And if not me, hopefully this helps me study right after I finish recording this video because I really need to get some work done. So, the first thing that I wanted to mention is probably one of the most important things that I've learned, especially while studying for the MCAT or really for any course. And it's that your inner dialogue matters and the way that you talk to yourself, the way that your thoughts really drive your productivity and your capabilities and your willingness to work is very important. I'm somebody that gets overwhelmed kind of easily sometimes because I convince myself that I don't know a topic just because it's hard or just because I'm not good at that topic or I don't know. I just tend to get stressed out or maybe compare myself to others. And I think that it's really important to take a step back and realize that the way that you're talking to yourself internally and that inner dialogue or that inner monologue almost that you're having with yourself is not benefiting you. And sometimes I catch myself rooting for myself mentally where I'm, on the last couple of questions in a cars section and I'm telling myself, come on, like you're almost done. And that's something that's really positive and that's something that's motivating. But I also catch myself certain times where I'm thinking, why am I doing this? Is there any reason why it's 11 p.m. and I'm studying, or why do I need to learn glycolysis for the seventh time? I think I know it. And it's just making sure that there's a clear distinction between being honest with yourself and motivating yourself versus tearing yourself down and just making it really hard and uncomfortable for you to continue studying. You don't want to study. You're tired. There's a lot of things going on all the time, but your inner dialogue is really important. Whether you're studying with a group of people or you're studying alone in your room, you are the only person that's going to be able to motivate yourself intrinsically in that sense. Realize that the conversations that I'm having with myself, I sound crazy. The conversations that I'm having with myself while I'm studying have not been productive. I don't want to get up. They've not been promoting me. What the fuck? And pushing me forward to do the best that I can do and to study as effectively as I can. If anything, for the most part, they have been limiting me and stressing me out and worrying me, and I've been thinking too far ahead. So it's really important to make sure that you are having some means of control over your inner dialogue and talking to yourself kindly, because at the end of the day, you're the only person that's going to be able to take that exam for you or to pass these classes or to do whatever it may be. You're probably going to have to do it anyway. The second thing I wanted to talk about was acknowledging why it is that you don't want to study. What is making it so difficult for you to sit down and study? Are you easily distracted? Are you maybe not using the best study methods? Are you implementing flashcards and you should be using more of an active recall method? Are you not color coding? Maybe you're disorganized. Maybe you have no interest in the major that you're in right now. And these are all things that you really need to sit down with yourself and think. And even if you want to write them down, sometimes before I study and I catch myself with that negative inner dialogue, I sit down and I tell myself, why am I so stressed out? What can help? Why don't I want to study? What is giving me this resistance? Let's say you hate your major and you are a business major and you realize that maybe you don't like business and maybe it's your second year, maybe it's your third year. It's not too late to go back and encourage yourself to do something that you might enjoy. Or if you think it's too late or you don't want to switch majors or you don't want to do that, that's not something you're interested in, you can indulge in taking other classes, maybe get a minor, do some hobbies, get some certifications, and do some courses outside of the scope of your major that still keep you entertained and motivate you to pursue whatever it is that you want to pursue. Maybe find some overlap between your current major and another thing that you're interested in. So there's just different ways of promoting studying and motivating yourself. If you feel like shit, you're not going to sit down and write your notes like, I'm the dumbest piece of shit in the world. I hate my. Be nice to yourself, be patient, and acknowledge why it is that you hate studying or why you don't want to study. If you're tired, how can you help that? That brings me to the next one, which is to make studying fun. I know it's kind of an oxymoron, but it can happen. So, making studying fun is possible. And by fun, I don't mean you're going to be giggling and laughing and frolicking amongst the tulips. I mean that you can make it a little bit better for yourself. And all of these things are about making it a little bit better for yourself. At the end of the day, the hardest part is starting. And until you start, everything is so difficult. There are a bunch of different ways to study. I mentioned those some of those ways in my how to study video that I posted a while back. But one of the ways that I was talking about was to go somewhere you enjoy studying, leaving your house, leaving the comfort of your home. And some other things that I wanted to mention are maybe making a PowerPoint. Sometimes you have to record your lectures so that you can go home and listen to them. Maybe that's how you best study. Maybe sometimes you need to be with other people and have that reassurance and that accountability of having those people around you to motivate you to keep studying. Maybe you need to watch study with me videos like mine. So if the problem is that it's not fun and or entertaining for you, color code, do drawings. Just try to implement as many things to make this process easier. The next thing I wanted to talk about was decreasing the buffer period between home and work. So by that I mean, let's say that you went to school, for example. Let's say you get out at 2:20 p.m. You're in high school, you get out at 2:20 p.m. and you go home. By the time you go home, it's 3 o'clock, right? You shower, eat something, it's 3:45. Then you're a little tired. You lay down for a couple of minutes, time passes, it's 4:15, you're still on your phone. It feels a little bit too late to be productive, but you have to study, and you've just increased your buffer period by so much time, as opposed to coming home, finishing your assignments right away. And this is something that was so difficult, but I definitely had to implement, especially when I was younger and I was just having a very harsh mental health moment where it was hard for me to even get out of bed or to do anything. It was easier for me to minimize that buffer period or minimize that sense of resistance. For example, right now, I come home from work, I shower, I sit down, I do what I have to do, and I can just lay down and go to bed later. I don't need to worry about the assignments, they're not in the back of my mind, and I'm minimizing the amount of time that I go from school to work, for example, or from my job to studying for the MCAT. But that's something that I implemented a lot, especially when I was in high school. Because you get distracted, you realize how tired you are, and sometimes school and work is kind of like a time warp when you don't even realize what time it is. And something that helped me just start, especially in the mornings, for example, was the 5 second rule. It was this woman, and she wrote a book. I need to look this up. I can't. Mel Robbins came up with the idea of the 5 second rule. I used this a lot when I was in high school and having a hard time even getting out of bed. I was just not having a good time. I was very depressed, very anxious, and I had to use the 5 second rule. I never told anyone about it. I just kind of did it ironically, where I just didn't really believe it was going to work. I just did it. So the 5 second rule is whenever there's something that you don't want to do. I think she did it when she was laying in bed, but it was in the morning. She would just count down from 5 and just get up. And it sounds so stupid. It sounds so stupid because that buffer period where you lay down and you're just on your phone, it's early in the morning and you have to get ready for work or for school or you have to get ready to study. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get up. Just do it. No thought. Just when it's 1, you stand up and you are focusing and paying attention and just doing whatever it is. Whether 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 means that you sit in your chair or you actually start studying and put your phone down or away or whatever it may be, that's up to you. But when you count down from 5, you're going to be doing whatever it is that you set your mind to do. The last one is having 2 different schedules. So it might be a little bit over the top, but if you're having a hard time sticking to a schedule, and first of all, you never depend on motivation. That bitch comes and goes. But what does stick is routines and habits, and most importantly, systems, because those systems will build up and give you the habits that you want to have over time. And that's something that I'm telling you, but is even hard for me to actually implement. If you have 2 schedules, you can make one your hard schedule. So a day that you wake up and you're very motivated, this is my schedule. I'm going to wake up, I'm going to do yoga, I'm going to have some tea, I'm going to read for 30 minutes, then I'm going to walk my dog, then I'm going to sit down and do biochemistry for 2 hours, then I'm going to go to work. So it's a super productive list of your ideal day and how you would like for it to go if you wake up feeling super motivated and pumped and ready for the day. And your easy schedule would be things that are more realistic. You know, the odds are that you wake up and you really don't feel super motivated or productive. You barely want to get out of bed, nonetheless study. So maybe you can wake up, you walk the dog, you have that tea, maybe you take a little bit longer to get ready. Like you're not packing up your day with as much back-to-back movement and productivity, giving yourself more time to kind of warm up to the idea of these habits and these study methods and these different routines that you're implementing. Because, yeah, it's super easy to wake up tomorrow, do the 5 second rule, get up, have a super productive day. But what about the day after? Right? So, these are things that you need to be able to acknowledge and create systems for, right? So, catch yourself. Whenever you're talking negatively to yourself, tell myself, no, I'm going to study. It's going to be okay. It's not as bad. The worst part is just starting. Another thing, once you acknowledge why you don't want to study, now you can approach it a different way. So, we're all in this together, whether you're in high school or middle school studying algebra, or you're in college doing biochem, or you're studying for the MCAT. We're all in pain and it matters, okay? Because nobody wants to do this. You just need to remember why you're doing it. I said this in my last video. I don't know if this is useful for anyone. This is useful for me, and partially I think I needed to hear this, especially coming from myself. But yeah, that's everything I have to say. Hopefully this helps somebody study when they don't want to. I think it's very interesting that I post study videos and MCAT videos, and that doesn't mean that I don't struggle with focusing, having the desire or the motivation to study. I wanted my channel to be productive in a realistic sense, where I'm not giving you all of these insane ideas. I don't want students to feel like they need to study 12 hours a day, because that's how I feel, that is still the idea. And sometimes I knock myself down for studying less or understanding less. And that's why I think that this video is so important, because I want to make sure that people are understanding that it's okay to be tired, it's okay to lose motivation and to feel down, but it's really, really important to not be so hard on yourself and to just remember why you're studying in the first place. Even if you don't want to study for the rest of your life, even if you don't want to go into medicine, do it so that you don't have to do it anymore. Do with this information what you may. I have to go study and make myself some coffee, I think, because it's 3:45 and I am tired. Bye!